Preseason game 1 in the books. J.J. McCarthy, 2 touchdowns. So much to be excited about. Some stuff we got to fix. Welcome to the Locked On Vikings podcast.
You are Locked On Vikings, your daily Minnesota Vikings podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Locked On Vikings podcast, where we're always trying to learn something new. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for making Locked On Vikings your first listen of the day, each and every day. I appreciate you all so very much. Appreciate all of my hashtag everydayers that were here all summer long, all throughout the offseason. We are covering Vikings football again, and we will be covering Vikings football until it ends at the end of the year. Very exciting times, and if you are new here, hello and welcome. You can, of course, find this show wherever you find your favorite podcasts, including SiriusXM. On the SiriusXM app, you can actually just type in Vikings and get live Vikings broadcasts. You can listen to the K-Fan broadcast, and that goes for like pretty much any sporting event. So go check that out. You can also find this show on YouTube or Amazon Fire and Roku if you download the Locked On Minnesota Sports app. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs can help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. It's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Vikings win a preseason game for the first time in 5 years, 24-23. If you are an audio listener, you heard the postcast with me, Sam Ekstrom, Luke Inman, and Ron Johnson. About a half-hour show came out right after. If you were just a YouTube viewer, you at least saw the YouTube short, but you should go check that out at Locked On Minnesota Sports. Now, I've actually taken a minute, and I haven't had a chance to watch the tape and glean some of the more detailed insights, slow things down, really review it, right? But honestly, all of that doesn't really return that different of a conclusion than I had watching on TV. So I think like what you saw is kind of what you got. So today we'll go over, of course, the quarterbacks. That's the big thing. We'll start with that. And a couple of the individual big plays for J.J. McCarthy, both the good and the bad of it. And then we'll go over some winners and losers on both sides of the ball. Let's start with Sam Darnold, though. He cooked. It's kind of it. Sam Darnold cooked. There was one drive with the starters in. One drive with, I think the only offensive starter that played the second drive was Ed Ingram, which that's interesting. We'll get to that. That happened last year too. But Sam Darnold had, I think 5 real passing attempts in that drive and played really well. The first was a corner. The first completion was a corner on a concept called choice out, which is basically a smash concept. It's just a high-low on the outside. And it puts the corner in conflict against cover 2. Found that, got the corner in conflict. Corner played it too shallow, so we hit the deep, got Jalen Nailor. Had another one to Jalen Nailor on a dagger rep. That was a beautiful pass, unbelievably beautiful pass. You got all the world of backup quarterbacks that have YouTube channels now, and Kurt Warner, who I guess he was a backup at times, so I guess you can label him that. Former backup quarterback Kurt Warner. It's technically true. Also, all of them saw that rep, and whoa, that was a good one. It was over the outstretched arms of their linebacker. What's his name? Spillane, the linebacker. Beautiful layery pass. Got to the red zone. Got a little bit slow on third down. Could have maybe had a touchdown to, I think it was Johnny Munt, but it would have had to be really perfect timing. It wasn't. Rolled out, didn't find it on fourth down either. So didn't end up getting any points on it. Went for on fourth down on the goal line and lost, and didn't get there. But whatever, right? A drive that looked good, that most everybody on it looked good. We can be happy with that. No Aaron Jones on that one either. Great. Got a Christian Darrisaw pancake. I don't know why he was in the game, but he was. And then we got to J.J. McCarthy. So I have a Patreon video that should be out by the time you listen to this on J.J. McCarthy. Patreon.com/LukeBrownNFL if you want the full detail breakdown, a whole half hour of film breakdown on just him. But we got a whole team to talk about here. But here's the highlights. So J.J. McCarthy, 1 interception, 2 touchdowns. We'll talk about all 3 of those plays in detail in a second. But ultimately, the second, he played the second quarter or the third quarter, mostly. And he was really shaky in the first half. Like, there's no real way around it. He missed on a couple of rollouts, like rollout, just like passing to the line of scrimmage, left it way high, very interceptable, hideously bad passes. Cannot have that. Can never have that be that kind of miss again. The interception was in the first, it was a bad play. I guess we'll do it now. So it was pressured off of Kenny Nwangwu getting absolutely smoked by a blitzer. He gets put on his ass. JJ McCarthy has to run. He throws on the run. But by that point, Tristan Jackson's route was getting undercut. He may have run that route wrong, but I'm not going to say that definitively because there are a lot of different ways that a deep over can happen in a McVay style playbook, and I'm not sure which one it was. So I won't grain of salt, but maybe. Either way, you can't throw it. You simply cannot throw that ball. And if you are going to throw that ball, you can't leave it behind him where it basically just goes directly to the defender and it's really easy for the defender to undercut it. Good play by Jack Jones, not taking anything away from him, but just you can't throw that. And I think he might have been a little rattled because later in that quarter, he was rolling out to his right again, or he was escaping to his right again on pressure. And instead of trying to throw one on the run, he would take off. And one of the times it worked and one of the times it didn't, but both times, there was no throwaway. There was no try another hard pass again. He rolled to his right and he started kind of getting into just running, dropping his eyes and running and stuff. Or maybe that was just the decision that he made, but I don't know, kind of felt like he was a little bit more reticent to try throwing one on the run in the next drive right after the interception. Goes into halftime, gets some coaching, comes back out, actually nails one on that. Very clearly had gotten past it and said, okay, we're going to continue to be aggressive. And then he just starts absolutely shredding. Then we're dealing. We have a big, long touchdown to Tristan Jackson on a go route. Corner lost his mind on it, left him wide open. We don't complain about that. We take those. It was a very good throw. It was well-timed. Everything about it was executed really well. And the fact that the Raiders screwed up and made it look better, made it look even better is hey, we'll take that. That got everything really excited. Another touchdown was his last throw of the day was to Trent Sherfield on a safety biting as bad on play action as you'll ever see and leaving him wide open. So two kind of non-contested touchdown throws that were still very good throws. I think there's kind of a bit of an IQ test there of can you see that throw and realize that if the corner were in better position, that thing's still caught and is at the very least explosive, if not still scoring. And there you could kind of see the mechanics slow down a little bit there too. The stuff we've been talking about all camp, all OTAs, the rotation and all that stuff, it's very, very reined in. It's still not quite exactly perfectly aligned. If you look at the difference in hip rotation and shoulder rotation, Sam Darnold's looks the way it's supposed to. JJ McCarthy's looks a little bit too much, but it's reined so far in, night and day from what we saw in college. And even just looking at his pro day where he had started to work on this a little bit with independent trainers and to OTAs and into camp, you can see that incremental progress. And I'm really glad we've been covering it and paying attention to it really closely all year long because you can see that incremental progress. A couple of throws that I think I liked with JJ McCarthy, much more than the touchdowns. Touchdowns are good plays, right? They're good throws down the field. They're aggressive after the interception. They show the bounce back. And that's truly the story of the game for McCarthy is you struggled to start and you bounced back and you fought and you settled down and you figured it out. Now what I want to see against Cleveland is to not have that shaky start, to come out firing and now you get it, right? But you kind of got the rust knocked off a little bit. You got your stripes a little bit. And you kind of got that first NFL game speed action. And now that that's sort of under your belt, we can start to build on it. But a couple of the throws that I really liked, and they're way more the Nick Muse throw was probably the third most exciting throw of the day, but it wasn't a touchdown, so it's not the one everybody's talking about. But I liked it better because it was the exact same route as the one the exact same, might have been the same route, the exact same idea as the one that he threw the interception on. Nick Muse was running across the field with a defender undercutting that route, and he had to stand in the pocket and throw that thing high and away from him, away from the defender, trust Nick Muse to take it. So you're throwing a high ball to the tight end. And by the way, if Nick Muse doesn't take that in, it's dropping in a safety's lap. So you're taking a very risky throw and not being afraid to do it and nailing the throw, really encouraging for me. There was another one where he had to kind of stand in there and take a hit and throw an over to Tristan Jackson. That one there's a lot of examples of him doing that kind of thing at Michigan. So it was nice to see it translating to the NFL, but also the kind of thing that like, okay, that's in his repertoire. We know that's a strength of his. Really the one that gets me though was it was a check down. It was a third down check down that didn't even convert. But what it showed me, and it should have converted, I think. What it showed me was him going through an entire progression, feeling pressure, rolling out of the pocket, and getting rid of the ball instead of running. Getting rid of the ball to his check down instead of running. That is encouraging to me. And I know that it was like 3rd and 5. He threw the ball to I think the check down was Myles Gaskin by that point, and Gaskin couldn't get across. He couldn't convert. The ball was a little behind him. So get that out in front of him a little next time, and I think you convert, and it got very close. You got like 4th and really short. So there was a world where maybe you could have decided to go for it there, depending on situation and stuff. But like, that encourages me. So on the whole, I think more encouraging than not encouraging, but there's still some stuff that like we just can't have that interception. You just can't throw that ball anymore. You got to just learn from that and never do it again. And I think the same with the rollouts that he threw too far. You got to just hit those next. You just can't miss those that bad. That's just like super turnovery. So some turnovery stuff, some stuff we got to fix. Sam Darnold, clearly the better quarterback at this juncture. I don't think that anybody's going to disagree with that. And that's okay, because Sam Darnold's playing pretty well. There's no shame in that. But hey, look, there's 88 other players on the team, or 89 other players on the team, because Samus Reyes is international. So let's go over some of that. We saw a lot of other questions being answered and camp narratives being kind of either confirmed or denied. So that'll be next. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn is the best place to find a candidate for whatever you're hiring for. If you are in charge of hiring, especially if you just like run a small business and you're in charge of everything, and hiring is one of those things, you wear a lot of hats. We understand that. But even if you're working as just in like an HR role and you're hiring, guess what? You wear a lot of hats. So you have to be able to streamline that process, and LinkedIn helps you with that, with a feature that helps you write job descriptions, features that help you narrow down large pools of applicants. But it's not just a job board. They help you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job. But hey, maybe the right opportunity comes by, and maybe you're the right opportunity. 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other job boards, aren't actively looking, but you can still get your job to them if you post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you so much for making Locked On Vikings your first listen of the day each and every day. When you're done here, go check out Locked On Fantasy Football. I know you got your draft coming up and you're looking for that edge. Go let Vinny Iyer give it to you. So elsewhere on the offense, some winners and losers, right? This is how you have to do it with the preseason, because the ultimate result of the game does not matter. It was fun to win one at the end, but to finally win a preseason game for the first time since 2019. That was the first preseason game we won since Kyle Sloter was in the building, and he got cut like the next second after that game. No, you know what? They played one more and they lost. So he got cut, but he got cut like 2 weeks later. So with that though, it is kind of a zero-sum game, right? It's more about individual performances and who kind of rose and fell in our idea of things. So I guess the biggest winner on the ones would probably be Jalen Nailor, who got 2 big passes. Kind of the lion's share of the yardage that the Vikings got was to Nailor. And you saw, like, it was nice to see that production. It's nice to see camp hype not just completely disappear in the preseason. Okay, he was there, he did it. And then by kind of proxy, Brandon Powell becomes a loser of that. He was out there with the ones. He seemed to play totally fine. I didn't actually like really pay attention too close to like his routes or anything like that, because it seems like Nailor's running away with his battle and whatever. But it's not like Powell is falling out of favor and getting cut or anything like that. He's probably still the main punt returner. Even though we had, I want to say it was Myles Gaskin doing it all day. Or no, it was Thayer Thomas doing it all day. Myles Gaskin did some kick returns. Even though Thayer Thomas did it all day, I'm sure Brandon Powell still has that job. He's still, I don't think he's at any risk of getting cut or anything like that. But Jalen Nailor continues to put distance between him for wide receiver 3. On the O-line, some interesting days. I thought Walter Rouse had a really nice day with the twos. There was one play, the blocked kick was not good for Rouse or for Juergens. They both got blown up and the kick got blocked. And it immediately returned right into field goal range, and the Raiders got a field goal off of it. And I think like one other pressure, but I liked the day that Walter Rouse had. I thought Michael Juergens had more of an up and down day. I haven't seen any PFF grades. And if you're new here, by the way, that's something you got to know about me. I will never give you a PFF grade. I don't even look at them. I have muted them on all social media. I never want to see them because I don't want to like compare my observations to theirs and then have that influence my opinion. What they do is if you like it, that's fine. But it's a little bit like going to the back of the book for the answers. You don't learn anything doing it. And honestly, it's sometimes not even that representative. So it's like, do I trust it? And even if I trust it, am I actually gaining anything by using it? Not really. I'll do my own work. I don't need them to do it for me. But I wouldn't be surprised if people are talking about Juergens as somebody who had a rough day. And I see the plays that he struggled on, but I also like the Kene Nwangwu touchdown. There was a Kene Nwangwu breakaway touchdown. Michael Juergens had a really key block on that one as part of a double, part of a combo, hitting and then getting across to the play side of that player while the right guard that was next to him, I believe it was Tyrese Robinson, climbed up to the linebacker. So I thought Juergens had enough moments where you can see the vision here, although a bit of a struggle of a day for what it's worth. I thought Tyrese Robinson had a really nice day. And I thought Dan Feeney had a similar kind of up and down day. So that battle didn't go anywhere for me. I think that remains neutral. And I think that both players played poorly enough where whichever one of them figures it out, now the door is totally open. If there was a status quo between those two, I think that it is that it's gone, that is open. But I liked what Walter Rouse did. Ed Ingram had an interesting day. So he gave up one pressure on the first drive with all the starters in. He gave up a pressure to Christian Wilkins. He got speed to the outside, even though he had help to the inside. So next time you kind of just got to play that outside play a little bit more to your help. And I think that was more of just like a misread of the front of understanding where his help was. So there's a kind of a communication. I think that was a mental error more than a physical one. It's also Christian Wilkins. He's a very punishing player. The tiniest little mistake, he's going to get you on it. He's Christian Wilkins. He also blew up Brian O'Neill on a run play. So don't worry too much about it. I thought Blake Brandel had a really good day, missed on one pull, but had some really great moments in pass protection. I think kind of solidifying his hold on that job if it ever was in question. But Ed Ingram, so he has like a blunder or two in the first drive, goes back in with the twos. And the Vikings did this with him last year. Turned out to be pretty much meaningless. He had the job and he never really gave it back up. But what's funny is he goes back with the twos and he absolutely like smokes three guys. When J.J. McCarthy came in, he started with 3 handoffs, which is like, for one, like, Kevin, dude, there's a narrative. Come on, man. But handoff. And on 2 of those 3 handoffs, Ed Ingram made a key block and blew somebody to Timbuktu. So I guess kind of then earned his time off after that after that drive, and then he was done for the day. So interesting day for Ed Ingram. I would say one of the biggest losers on offense is Kene Nwangwu. He did have that breakaway touchdown. It was a wide open hole. He did have to kind of do one little climb the staircase to make that corner miss. This is a good play, but I think botching 3 pass protection reps on the same drive or in the same quarter, like really, really bad pass protection is not only is it like, okay, I can never put you on the field if you're pass pros. I don't care how fast you are. I can never put you on the field if your pass pro is that bad. But also like that flirts with cuttable. Like that flirts with, okay, who's on the running back market? We might need some depth because Ty Chandler also dropped a couple of passes. Now I think both these guys have key roles on special teams. Kick returner Ty Chandler, big time help on all of the coverage units. So I don't think these guys are getting cut because of the special teams thing, but rough days. They're looking for a bounce back. And like Myles Gaskin had a better day than those 2 guys. It's just that now you get to the strength of competition thing and you say, well, that was the 4th quarter of a preseason game and it can only ever be so meaningful. And then the only other guy I thought to mention on offense would be Trent Sherfield, who had, we'll say, an up and down day, a really disgusting drop on a spot route over the middle, 2 guys closing in on him. It was there on time. If you watch that play slowly, That ball is clattered off his hands before he gets contacted, so it's not just that he got hit. That ball was there and on time. He's got to bring that one in. Terrible drop, but then he gets the touchdown at the end of the J.J. McCarthy part of things. And then in the fourth quarter, to be honest with you, you had the Jaren Hall snaps, and that was kind of interesting. You got like one Ty James catch, and that's cool. But really, I think the defense was more interesting there. So next, let's do winners and losers on defense. Today's episode of Locked On Vikings is brought to you by eBay Motors. Whether it is a roof rack for putting the bikes on it so you can go on a camping trip with your family, or an LED headlight just because you think it looks cool, speed, power, style, whatever it is, eBay Motors has you covered. They have over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. Whether it's getting you to work, getting your family to grandma's house, or whatever it is you need your car for, towing, crazy stuff that you see in the car commercials, whatever it is, eBay Motors has you. And with eBay's guaranteed fit, that part will fit your ride every single time. Guaranteed, or your money back. So whatever the make and model is, you'll be totally fine. eBay will navigate all of that for you. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. Okay, we've got a lot to talk about on defense here, and let's start with what happened before the game, the trade. I totally forgot about this until now. So Andrew Booth traded to the Cowboys for Nahshon Wright, who is an Andrew Booth of theirs. From talking to Marcus Mosher of Locked On Cowboys a little bit, it kind of sounds like he also was maybe not going to make the team. So we kind of have our draft pick we were going to part ways with for their draft pick they were going to part ways with. But he's 6'4". He's kind of the Joe Williams build. So like this tall, kind of lankier outside corner, played a little bit of special teams for them, but very much trying to make the team kind of guy, not maybe he's going to be the starter that we've been promised here kind of guy. But also maybe even by the time you listen to this, something will have happened. Stephon Gilmore is supposed to visit with the Vikings today. So maybe they'll get a little bit of veteran help there as well. I'll talk more about that if it happens, but for now, let's move to guys that are actually on the roster. I don't think Nahshon Wright played, which kind of makes sense. He got in the building like 2 days ago. For me, the standout thing was tough day for Byron Murphy. They went at him a lot. They beat him on a couple of like arrow route kind of things. You had a missed tackle in there. Tough day in one drive. Nothing to panic about. It's just one drive, but he'll maybe be looking for a little bit of get back against the Browns. But maybe the thing that everybody's talking about more, and deservedly so, is Dallas Turner. Dallas Turner gets his first sack, but that sack, it was probably the best play he had on the day, but it was not the only play he had on the day. He had lots of pressures. He had this really nasty, just get off and shoulder dip, was getting around these tackles. Now, Andres Pete is the left tackle for the Raiders right now, and he was playing when they got the sacks. Like, that's a veteran, like that's an NFL player. But then he continued to play with the twos a little bit, Dallas Turner did. They got him a few more reps. And that poor left tackle, I don't know who it was very much overmatched and was really struggling. They had doubles on him. They had chips on him. Dallas Turner was a problem. Very excited to see what he can do in a whole game, in real live reps. But honestly, I know they want to get him reps because he's a rookie. So sure, and they probably will. But personally, I'm good. So put him on ice till week 1. I'm satisfied. Very excited about Dallas because he does everything right too. He's a very responsible player. That's the thing that struck me at Alabama, is that he was a very do your job kind of guy. Very rarely got out of position and was very happy to do grunt work too. When the front required him to go sacrifice his body, put it on the line, go crash something for a stunt, go set the edge, and then let somebody else get the glory and all that. Never played hero ball, and was always very disciplined about that. That's really good. And you kind of saw that again here. Play where he kind of crashed inside on a slash sort of run thing against counter, was never going to make the play and ate a puller. But that enabled somebody else to make the play. So you're seeing that kind of team thing. That's the Bama coaching, which you love to see. Maybe the biggest loser on the D-line would be James Lynch, who played with the twos, got smoked up the middle a whole lot, including on rushing touchdowns. And what happened is everybody else on the D-line, especially on the third and fourth teams and in the fourth quarter, showed out. everybody had a moment. Bo Richter had a few moments. Everybody's very excited about Bo Richter. Oh, maybe he's the true military undrafted rookie. It wasn't Andre Carter. It's actually this guy. Jalen Redmond. For me, Jalen Redmond was the guy. Now, on tape rewatch, I'm a little less excited about him than I was on the postcast. But Levi Drake Rodriguez got a great pressure and a batted ball. I think he got a sack too, if I recall. But I can't remember if he got a sack or if he just got a pressure that led to a sack. But anyways, he was in the backfield a lot. Oh, and you know what? It was a big TFL. That's what I'm thinking of. But he was in the backfield a lot, but on this particular batted ball, he was looping and Jalen Redmond was crashing in, and Jalen Redmond did a great job crashing in. Bo Richter got a sack the same way. Jalen Redmond was also in the backfield on a couple of other things. James Lynch's only pressure was really caused by Redmond. I thought Jalen Redmond actually kind of balled out like a lot, enough to the point where like maybe he overtakes James Lynch in that second team kind of Dean Lowry spot. But like I said, you had Levi Drake Rodriguez had a good moment, Bo Richter. So like in a way, Gabe Murphy is kind of a loser of the day. He's hurt right now. It doesn't appear to be serious, or at least we haven't heard really anything about it one way or another. And like everybody behind him on the depth chart blew up. And I guess Andre Carter may be also a loser who had one cool TFL and otherwise had a couple of moments that did not really move me. In the linebackers, I thought Kamu Grugier-Hill had an up and down day. He had a couple of blitzes where he tried to like get skinny and knife through and was a little bit too slow on it. A couple of, I thought maybe errors in coverage. I think Asamoah had the worst errors in coverage though. I think Brian Asamoah had a genuinely bad day. There was one where he was supposed to have the flat. He didn't have the flat. It wasn't the touchdown, but it was, I think, the play right before the touchdown over Theo Jackson, who also had his ups and downs. Had a couple of good plays kind of coming up and filling, but gave up that touchdown. That's always going to be rough. I think Bobby McCain had maybe the big highlight of the day, where there was pressure. There was a check down. That pressure was, I believe, Dallas Turner, by the way. And there was I don't even want to call it a check down. I think it was a drag route over the middle of the tight end, and Bobby McCain came in, smacked him so hard that he dropped it. Defense went nuts, super crazy. That was kind of his play of the day. But the touchdown over Theo Jackson, you could argue was his fault, that he was maybe supposed to play his coverage responsibility differently. He was, I think, playing free safety at that one. He was supposed to drive down. And had a couple other times where he was maybe caught out, had a couple of run fits where he didn't have the right physicality. So I kind of kept noticing 48 and not in a good way, which kind of makes Lewis Cine a low-key winner of the day. He did his job. He was where he was supposed to be. He even defeated a block, got in on some tackles, like made some plays. It was nothing super sexy, but at safety, it doesn't always have to be super sexy. He was in where he was supposed to be. He did his job. Maybe another big takeaway from the day is the Jay Ward corner experiment. We can be done with that. Interesting idea to maybe get some depth and relieve the roster pressure at safety, but it did not work. He was in press on a big, long fade ball from Gardner Minshew in cover one robber on the robber side. So cover one robber, you got your two safeties super high. One goes to the middle and the other one basically comes down trying to hunt, they call it poach or rob, anything coming over. So Lewis Cine was the robber in this case. There was an over route and he went to meet it. So that means he's vacating the deep part of the field. And if you're the corner over there, you just can't play press. I don't know why they had him in press. I don't think in a real game they would have him in press. This might have been okay, you don't have help, play press. Better go win your rep kind of moment, and he got smoked. And then also like missed a tackle on the contain. Like I didn't like him at corner at all. So that's maybe not the move. But for the purposes of Lewis Cine, I had nothing to be super mad about. Did his job, and that's all you can ask. Tomorrow is Twitter Tuesday, so get me your questions. If I didn't talk about the guy you wanted me to talk about, let me know. You can email that to me at lockedonvikingspodcast@gmail.com or just fill out the Google form, which is linked in the show notes or in the description on YouTube. And I'll put out a call on Monday as well, so you'll see that whenever. I'll talk to y'all for that, and as always, Skol.